Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Hello and welcome to the Radical Racing Challenge live on Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick, alongside me is Johan Canis. Dennis Branch is operating the cameras tonight, and it is well and truly going to be night because we're here at Twin Ring Motegi Circuit for this week 10 of the championship. Johan, not a particularly popular circuit this, it must be confessed, but I am glad that we are visiting this circuit for the first time, at least in the times that we've been broadcasting this on Apex Racing TV in this series. It's a unique circuit, this one, and yeah, will be a fresh challenge for the drivers.
Definitely agree. It's a bit of a strange track, but I think especially for us commentators that have seen quite a few of the tracks raced over and over, it's a nice little break to see something a bit different. I know it's for the drivers. We've only got 29 drivers in total at the moment driving across the different races, so it's not the most loved track, but I think this is also a good opportunity for some drivers to really get an opportunity to shine. So we do have our regulars in here. I've seen Cash, I've seen Cam, Sight I think is also in there. So we do have the regulars, but there is a possibility of an upset if something big happens. So definitely looking forward to that. And we can maybe also chat about the track a little bit later. It's got a kind of odd history with IndyCar. So not for the road course, but the oval course that's part of this complex. But for now, I think let's have a look at what the qualifying is doing and where everyone is stacking up.
yeah, drivers currently on their outlaps. They're in the kind of second half of the track at the moment, just going on to the alternative pits area. And anyone who's followed MotoGP over the years will be familiar with really this circuit generally, but particularly this corner. It often rains around this track, and it causes quite a stream of water heading down into that final hairpin. And yeah, can be a particularly tricky one. And you'll notice how it's not dark yet, but it is getting darker very quickly. It is sunset conditions, and that's sunset conditions for the start of practice. So the time that we get into the race, especially with the date quite so late in the year as it is, it will pretty much be pitch black. And fortunately, we've got the floodlights around this circuit, unlike at Laguna Seca, so it should be a bit better for the drivers. As yeah, they are on their first flying laps, about halfway around the lap are most of them, and you see the weaving on the outlap in particular, trying to get those heats into the tyres.
Yeah, it's actually a bit of an abnormal amount of weaving that I've seen going on. But I mean, if it works for the drivers, it definitely works. In terms of the qualifying, it's going to be interesting to see where everyone ends up. So Reinhardt already 2 purple sectors there against his name. Sides with 3 purple sectors, and Cam also stealing the second sector there. So unfortunately, I think Reinhardt is going to be a bit slower than Sides. But
we'll see what they can do. It seemingly Sides a bit earlier out to the pit lane than he usually is. Reinhardt does go to the top for now. Can Cam go faster than that? Cash goes to second place. The start finish line quite far down, and Sights and Cam Sights with the first spud, 0.3 of a second quicker, but that's just the banker. They will improve on this second lap, which is the times which will count. But yeah, currently Sights doing a good job up there. Reinhardt kind of best of the rest.
yeah, with 143, that banker is really important. Kind of reminds me of tracks like Spa, where you really want to just get something on the board, and then you can really push. But it all depends on who's been practicing the hardest. Sides currently with a 143.86, looking very good there. Cam is going to be giving his absolute all, and Reinhardt there as well. Unfortunately, having a troublesome third sector there. So we'll see what he's able to manage a bit further down the lap. So on board here with Kundelis, and don't have him on the timings down below. Currently he doesn't have a time on the board, so this is going to be for him to actually get a time down, actually put himself in the standings. So trying to keep it nice and clean, optimizing all of the exit as well as he can. So far looking rather safe, so hopefully he gets that time in.
Yes, as he just runs a little bit wide. Here comes Sights though, round the final few corners. Him and Cam pretty much starts there for second laps at the same time. Reinhardt, that's the advantage of the warmer tyres. He goes to the top. Sights should be able to beat it. It's been a superb lap, lots of purple sectors. This should be enough for Sights, and it is 0.2 of a second clear of Josh Cam, who yeah, was just a little bit slow in pretty much all the sectors there was Cam. In fact, every sector out of 6 was just, you know, half a tenth slower in each, and it opened up to that 0.2 of a second gap. Reinhardt a close third. Cash currently a bit of a distant fourth. Who is left to set a lap time? Kundelis is probably the big one. A driver who often struggles in qualifying does Arturas Kundelis, seed number 4 for this split. Often his race pace much better. He runs perilously wide, almost picking up a 1x by clipping some grass. And he is able to get onto the second row. No, he's quite far away from that. He's down in 7th place, just behind John Aldridge. And Andreas Friedrich, who really stormed to the top after his first lap time. Let's see what he can do on this second lap time. If he can prove like the others, this should be an easy 4th position for him to get ahead of Cash and wedge himself onto the second row of the grid. And he is able to do that, pretty much what we expected, dipping into the 43s. About 0.6 off pole position. So kind of similar gap to what we've seen for most of the season, honestly. Johan Sights most of the time in qualifying just has that couple of tenths on Josh Cam.
Yeah, they've definitely been to and fro during the season, and looking at the previous two results, it's essentially the two winners from the last two races sitting out in front, and it's going to be an interesting battle. I think Reinhardt might be licking his lips at the opportunity of their battle, maybe giving him a bit more of an opportunity to get past them early in the race. When the cars still haven't really gotten away from one another that much. Rosaborough getting into fourth there in the death throes of qualifying. Only 20 seconds left of the 8 minutes. So I think most of the drivers have gotten their times, and some drivers not able to secure a time. So there might be a bit of a shuffle there at the back of the pack, hoping it's going to be clean when we get through that first lap.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm just looking at the points this season. I hadn't quite realised that of these 9 rounds, Cam and Sights have won every single one of them. So Sights won round 1, then Cam won 2 and 3, then it was Sights again. In fact, Sights won 3 in a row, and then Cam won 2 races ago. 3 races ago. Then Sights won the next one. Then Cam won the last one. So currently, this season, Sights with the 5 wins, Cam with the 4 wins. But of course, Cam did win last time out, and he is currently the championship leader by 19 points. Quite a strong advantage. With just 3 more rounds to go after tonight, there is the top 2, as we would expect. Reinhardt once again performing well in 3rd place, just missing out on a front row start. Then it's Brandon Roseborough, Andres Friedrich, Christian McCrelly. He popped up quite late on there in 6th place, the Italian. There's Chris Cash, John Aldridge, Arturus Condelis, Arthur Shearer, Jackson Porter, Stephen Place in 12th. Then it is Rambo Jules, Alex Aguilera, and Roberto Marino. Few new drivers to the series, which is good to see. And just of course the 15 cars out there tonight. Such is the low participation for this circuit as the sun continues to set, the track getting warmer, and those floodlights doing quite a good job now of illuminating the track. I do expect to see any overtakes really in this race, or do you think it's going to be quite a tricky one tonight, Johan?
Yeah, for me, the corners, I think with the racers not having as much experience racing at this track, it's going to be difficult to gauge where you can overtake. Of course, maybe they had some practice during the week, so they might know a bit better. But it's very sharp, very heavy braking zones, and lots of kind of a few sweeping corners as well. So we'll see how they can cope with that. But take us away for the race starts.
Yep, the lights are on, and we are away racing. Good start for Cam. He's going to try to move alongside the race leader, Greg Sights, but Sights able to take the first blood into turn 1 and takes a nice sweeping line in there. Strong start as well for Reinhardt to hold on to that position. Friedrich trying to get past Roseborough, and it looks like he's going to be able to do that. So the car number 3 just dropping back initially. Also poor start from McCrelly. He's dropped a couple of places as we see a diving move there for the car number 6. Trying to recover some place. In fact, it may have been McCrelly in the number 9 as we've got a spinner. That's the number 7 of Friedrich. So big shame for him. He gets absolutely obliterated there. I think that may have been Aguilera and also a couple of others getting involved in that incident as we cut to the leaders, with Sights having to go mega defensive against Josh Cam, picking up the draft through the fast right-hander, and into the S's section we go, but at least the first attack Sights has been able to fend off.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rough start for some of the drivers. We saw the back of the pack really slow off the start there. One of the drivers really hanging back. And the 3 leaders just chasing off into the distance. Aldridge finding himself in the middle of the action. So car number 8 has got a bit of a job to do there. So this is that incident with Friedrich. So you can see kind of finds himself in a bit of no man's land, gets a spin, and unfortunately just finds himself in the way there of some of the other cars, and that looks like some suspension damage.
Yeah, that's going to be game over for him, and I think it was Aguilera who came across and yeah, absolutely destroyed that car, as Cam is looking super racy right now. We haven't seen too many overtakes between these two, despite the fact there have been 1 and 2 for most of the season. We haven't seen too many overtakes between the pair. Usually, whoever starts ahead finishes ahead. It's not the easiest car to overtake, but Cam is looking like he will get past at some point because he seems to have such an overspeed on his rival. But yeah, still waiting for that move to consolidate. No start for Marino seemingly. He did qualify, or he didn't qualify, and he hasn't taken the start of this race either. So it's a shame to not see the number 13 out there. Sights is just about holding on, but well, this is positive stuff because at Laguna Seca, for example, it's very tricky to stay within half a second. This circuit at least is enabling Cam to stay close.
Yeah, I think the sweeping nature of the corners might lend it to that. It's kind of in the in-between zone where the turbulent air from the car in front is not upsetting the car as much. I know with Laguna Seca that you've got some really scary corners where we're on the absolute limit. It looks a bit more relaxed around here. So just looking here, Porter in a battle there between Aldridge and Place. 3 of them kind of fighting, duking it out for position, for position 8. And
yeah, Aldridge kind of dropping back now from Cash. He's not able to keep up at the moment. Did start in 8th place, did John Aldridge, but yeah, not with a whole lot of pace. In front of him, actually, Cash just put in a fantastic first sector, fastest first sector of anyone, which is really just one corner. It's just that sweeping right hander, which could be one corner, could be 2 corners, which is the story of a lot of corners around this place, as the leader's got a bit of traffic to deal with. Just make sure that they get past nice and quick. There's Friedrich, who's still trying to get out there. That can't be much fun to drive, as Cam has managed to get the inside here. Is he able to move past his championship rival? It's the car number 1 versus the car number 2. Cam is moving ahead, but he leaves a car's width for his rival. They make contact down the straight as both are trying to get as much of the circuit as possible. Cam is slightly deeper on the brakes, trying to get the cutback, trying to get a strong exit, and that is what he's been able to do. But bending off the middle of the circuit is Greg Seitz. They'll try to keep it pinned despite the slightly acute angle in which they approach the corner, and again Cam is diving up the inside, and this time he is able to move ahead a little bit early on the power, perhaps having to get out of it, and Seitz has just been forced on the outside for every single one of these corners. But Josh Cam has looked faster from the start, and now it's a mistake from Seitz which could leave him at the mercy of Reinhardt, and this is exactly what Cam wanted to see, these two battling and enabling him to pull away.
And that was some superb racing, and that's kind of it just showcases the challenge of this track. You've got corners kind of going back and forth all the time, so it's very difficult to kind of claim a specific line and stick with it. You kind of need to consider the next 3 or 4, 2 or 3 corners, and that's just made for such a nice battle to watch there between Cam and Seitz. Oh, and there's someone off the track there. That was Seitz.
Yeah, he's just been hit there by Reinhardt, I think. Quite an over-optimistic move, honestly, into the final corner, and that has spun him around. That's a huge shame because Cam has now got a huge gap out in the lead, and Reinhardt and Seitz won't be able to bounce for much longer. Here it was the move. I don't... what's that? I mean, it was a very unwise an overtake right there, because, you know, it's single file, or it could have just been himself out-braking and tapping the rear. Fortunately, both cars are still clean. It means that Roseborough and Kundelis have moved up. Kundelis now up 6 places from this race start.
Yeah, Kundelis always seems to surprise us. He kind of sticks around in the background and just pops out every now and then. I must say, though, that was a really odd line from Reinhardt there going through the chicane. It almost seemed like he was going very deep there into turn number 14. And I do not think that Seitz was really expecting him to take that line.
Yeah, I don't think so, and yeah, it's worked out pretty badly for him, but despite some visible damage on the back of that car, he seems to still have some pace in it. Some personal best sectors are actually already on this lap for Greg's site, so hopefully we see him storming back up. And Roseborough still staying fairly close to Cam, so hopefully this battle stays fairly tight till the end. Cash is the most likely driver making a move, it looks like, at the moment. He is putting a lot of pressure on McCrelly, who after a poor start managed to move himself back up to 5th position. But Cash did set the fast lap of the race a few laps ago. And a quick shout out as well to one of our sponsors for this series, Virtual Racing School. Virtual Racing School offering 50 data packs for a variety of cars, including the Radical SRA. You can get tutorials on Pablo Lopez. You can compare your telemetry to Pablo's telemetry, and he is one of the best drivers in this Radical SR8 machine, multiple official series champion in this car in the past. So yeah, do check out Virtual Racing School if you want to get faster on iRacing, on road racing or oval racing as well. That's still Cash holding on to that, or McCrelly holding on to that 5th place, but that train is growing.
Yeah, that's been a theme all season long. You've got this drafting train that kind of forms between some of the drivers and then wanes away, and then you can see it forming again. I think we had about 4 or 5 drivers within at least, I'd say, 7/10 of one another. It's kind of fizzled out a little bit now with the battle kind of focusing around McCrelly, Cash, Aldridge and Sights. But before that, there was quite a large group there. Good news for Sights, because it means he still has the opportunity to claw back a few points here. But I think for now, drivers like Gundelis and Roseborough are very happy with this result, because it means they get the opportunity to really fight for the start here, and they've been doing exactly just that.
Well, the times this time around, Cam, look at that, 43.6. That's quite a bit faster than what he was doing a couple of laps ago. He is really putting the hammer down, and Kundelis getting a little bit closer to Roseborough. Now Kundelis and Reinhardt setting the fastest first sectors of anyone. Really is tightening up, and Sights now, getting even closer to the back of Aldridge, and that's a slight mistake there from Aldridge, just having to get out of the throttle for a moment. Sights could go for an ambitious move here. Aldridge breaking late himself, and there's a little bit of a tap between the two of them, and unfortunate to get away with it.
The damage models have been quite sensitive in these races. You can immediately see the contact between the drivers, even if it's quite light. Some of these cars showing a few bumps and bruises, but no, you can't really see any wings sticking up in the air or any heavy damage. Of course, we did lose a few drivers there at the start. So Cash here in the middle of all the action, no real pressure on him at the moment. Aldridge is the one that needs to watch out here. So Sights is looking for that opportunity, not finding it yet. And the draft is just not enough for him to be pulled along. Aldridge with the advantage of having Cash in front of him. So he is safe at the moment. But one mistake and Sights will surely try and pick up the pieces.
Yeah, sure will do. But, wow, and the second half of that lap actually was able to pull away. Now makes a mistake. Well, they're both making mistakes. Cash spent, or Aldridge spent half of that pit straights off the circuits. It certainly compromised his traction. Good time there for Roseborough, by the way, up in second place, just pulling away a little bit from Candela. So holding on to that second place, still only 1.6 seconds behind Cam. And it is very easy to make mistakes around this track, as we are well and truly into the darkness. I don't think it's going to get any darker than this, but yeah, floodlights doing a decent job at illuminating the circuit. Certainly still not fully illuminated for the Jazz. I wonder if you could ride on board maybe with Sights. You can kind of see what the visibility is like, because yeah, it's not like a Daytona where it's totally emblazoned. There are a few kind of darker patches, but when you're in a nice train of cars like this, your visibility is very good.
The trouble really comes in, and we saw that with I'm trying to remember exactly which track it was, but where you can't see the apex of the turn. It becomes such a difficult thing So just looking here at Sights getting past Aldridge. And that looks done and dusted there for him. So the big challenge is always, if you can't spot the apex, you're basically driving off muscle memory, and you really need to know the track off by heart. And thankfully, it's not going to be the case here. So it's a bit easier for the drivers. It's a lot more predictable. They know what their opponents are going to do, and it just makes for a much easier racing experience, especially with a small grid like this. There's maybe a bit less pressure, but definitely still quite a few other drivers to watch out for. McCready now starting to come under pressure from Cash. So Cash within 5/10, and it does. I don't know if it just feels a bit different, but 5/10 on this circuit just feels a lot longer than he would have at a track like Laguna Seca or anything that's maybe on the shorter side of things.
Bit of a mistake there for Reinhardt just ahead. You'll see how that gap has decreased. He's just gone off the circuit at turn 2. It's cost him 1.3 seconds in the middle sector. So Reinhardt, after just putting in one of the best laps of anyone in the race, he was keeping tabs with Candelas. It's kind of puts him off his prey for the time being, and yeah, you can. That's going to take him a while to recover. So you can see how this top 4 actually kind of closing in. Cam was actually the slowest out of those top 4 on the last lap, but Reinhardt pushing too hard. I mean, that's the definition of pushing too hard. And fortunately, he's got that little bit of tarmac where you got one of the alternative layouts, which he could pick up some grip on. So yeah, he's a little bit further away now. McCready within 1.5 seconds of him. And Rosebeer actually continuing to close the gap. So on that last lap, Rosebeer was 0.3 faster. On this lap, I think he's taken another 10th out. In fact, he was 0.2 faster through Sector 5 alone. Sector 5 is only 16 seconds long. So he is really rapidly moving along, losing a little bit in the final sector. So Cam, overall, only losing hundredths of a second. You can see there, 1/10 of a second he lost. But well, if Rosebeer can keep this up, he's still got just about enough time to maybe catch up to the race leader.
I'm also suspecting that there might be a bit of tire saving going on for Cam, or maybe he's just managing that gap a little bit, because with these cars, the tires tend to fall off near the end of the races. When I say fall off, it's not like a heavy drop off, but you definitely have a lot less grip than you had at the start. So it becomes a bit more of a important part of the race where mistakes are much easier to make. And the man that's hoping for a mistake here is going to be Sights, as he sits there on the rear of Cash. 4/10 between them, a bit less than 4/10, and he is just absolutely chasing him down at the moment.
Yeah, he got past Aldridge, and then yeah, was latching on to the next one. He matched the race leader on that last lap. Did Greg Sights, just underlying how quick he is. And of course, this is very bad news for Sights, because he needed a near perfect finish to the season in order to bring back the points difference to Josh Cam. But if it ended like this, Cam's lead in the championship would be up at about 25 points or so. In fact, he'd have a chance at clinching the championship in the next round with 2 races to go potentially. So yeah, not good stuff for Sights, but if you could get back 1 position, 1 point, that would be very useful for him. And lastly, another quick shout out to SDK Gaming, our overlay provider, and also provides our live timing as well. It's also a fantastic kit for broadcasting, because our cameras are synced with the broadcasters' cameras, and so whenever Dennis makes a change, us commentators see that change on our screens as well. It is pretty unique, the technology. It's super malleable as well. I can take back control whenever I like. And of course, that's just one of the functionalities of the SDK Gaming software. Of course, you can also use it as a heads-up display. It's great for streaming as well. So do check out sdk-gaming.co.uk to yeah, download this very versatile software, as Sights is getting closer. If he could get any closer, he is getting closer, and gap down to just 1/4 of a second.
Yeah, that's a very, very small gap, and Cash is about a second down from McCready, so no real drafting advantage from being behind him, and thankfully he is also not getting too much error wash from him at the moment. But Size is just sitting there right on the rear of Cash, so you can only imagine the pressure mounting. Cash, of course, a teammate with Cam, who's leading the race. So I can only imagine Cash is probably going to try and defend this quite, I don't want to say aggressively, but he's definitely going to put a lot of effort into keeping Sights behind him, because that is going to benefit his teammate quite a lot in the greater scheme of things.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, still a job for his teammate right now. Unfortunately, no Mitchell Ian Green. I haven't seen Mitchell around for a few races. He's another Rust Racing driver, teammates with Greg Seitz. But yeah, unfortunately, he's not around today to help out his teammate. Gap out in the lead by way down to 1.1 seconds. No sign of a move at least, and it doesn't look like Rosebill will catch up in time. But Cash, he needs to try to figure one out here. Of course, the way that he overtook Aldridge earlier on was kind of a mistake from Aldridge. Aldridge actually missed the apex at 2 consecutive corners, and it kind of gifted the position, honestly, to Sights. No such mistakes coming from Cash at the moment, and so Rust Racing driver is going to have to make a proper move here. And it might be around this part of the circuit where he's got his best chance. He is strong on the exit under the tunnel, and now flat out the right-hander looks to the inside, and there's a little bit of deviation there from Cash in the braking area. But that was just him slipping and sliding, trying to get the car decelerated in time. Again, a look up the inside. Cash having to just defend, and this is compromising every exit, and there are a lot of hairpins around this circuit. There are no shortage of kind of half overtaking opportunities. Cash again just positioning that car, and this time so it hasn't quite got a great exit. But again, he's still within passing range, and of course this braking area much longer than the others. It's downhill, you've got to be cautious on the brakes, and Cash for once not having to defend.
Yeah, I think the last time that this track had cars this close together was in the IndyCar days back in, I think, 2010 in the Oval. 2011 they actually raced the road course. But kind of a weird thought thinking of IndyCar racing here in Japan, but it did happen. So interesting little thing about the circuit for me every time that we get here. But Sights backing off a little bit now, and out in front, Roseborough just sitting there on the cusp of 1 second. Definitely not close enough to make a move, but he is just sniffing at the rear of Cam and just sitting there for him in case of a mistake. And Sights falling back quite a bit now. It's down to 7 tenths.
He must have made a mistake. Yeah, so second sector. So I think the second sector just consists of turn 2. And, well, yeah, it's very tricky with the corner right here. But turn 2, the second kind of hairpin, he must have run wide because, yeah, he lost 4 tenths. So he's going to struggle to catch by the end. Catch has actually started to catch up to McCready again, but yeah, not looking like he's going to be able to do a whole lot. All the jars are fairly close. I mean, we've got the top 7 cars separated by less than 10 seconds. It's one of the closer races we've had this season, but just none of them really getting close to one another, kind of just everyone staying in their rightful positions. And I will just take another opportunity to give another shout out to Apex Racing Academy, which is another sponsor for this series. Apex Racing Academy offering 29 data packs, setups and track guides from some of the best drivers in iRacing. In fact, one of the coaches is Peter Berryman. He managed to take the IR01 World Championship Series a couple of days ago. In fact, that was yesterday. Congratulations to Peter. It was a very tight championship finale. Go watch it if you haven't already. It was at the Hungarian. And yeah, he managed to clinch the title in the end. So congratulations to him. So you can get setups for a variety of cars, particularly the single-seaters Peter covers, and you can get setups that Peter uses in those World Championship events for yourself by visiting apexracingac.com. As we yeah, just see a few of the other drivers down the order. Rombo Jules up there in 11th position. So the gap out in the lead, down to just 8/10. Roseboro's catching. It might be a little too. It might be too little, too late.
Yeah, 8/10 with a few laps to go. That's going to be a bit of a tall ask, and Cam definitely has a bit of pace left in the tank. I would think he might have just been trying to not to push too hard on those tires. But Roseboro is definitely going to try and make as much of a pusher as possible. Sights back up to the 4/10 mark. So very close to Cash there. And you can see just trying to keep hold of that draft. The driver's kind of weaving across the track, trying to stay in the draft of the driver in front. It's absolutely critical for Cash that he starts picking up some form of draft from McCurley in front of him. Otherwise, he's going to be a sitting duck on the main pit straight if he's not careful. So Sights there just sitting behind him, not getting as fast as the exit as he would want. And that gap is not going to come down in the fashion that he would want.
Pretty much taking the MotoGP lines down there. Done the pit straight with the kind of banana line going up to the pit wall. But yeah, Cash under much more pressure after that mistake from Sights just a couple of laps ago. Truly made up that gap now, but again, quarter of a second is too far behind for Greg, who would love that position, but does not want to wreck out his rival if he can possibly avoid it. Now that's a little bit better for him. Cash took a bit too much grass on the inside. It seemed to slow him up. And Sights, this is where he's particularly fast, heading into the S's where he lost the lead on lap 2 of the race. Again, Cash just minding his own business and not being faced.
Yeah, Sights saw an opportunity, wanted to go forward, thought better of it. I think that would have been a bit of a dive. So it's nice seeing the drivers not getting desperate here in the final portions of the race, and being patient and looking for a proper opportunity to get that pass done. And that's kind of what you expect, what you're expecting from the top level. But it's always nice seeing when drivers do keep that in mind. So even though Sights has got the frustration on him, he's been keeping it quite clean. McCurley in the meantime, I think there's quite a bit of pressure on him, with Cash kind of closing the gap a little and then drifting a bit further behind. So he's finding a few moments. We're taking the white flag, and Cam is still leading out in front with a seconds gap between himself and Roseboro. So closest action on the track at the moment, Cash and Sights.
Yes, and it's just extended out a little bit, if anything. Well, seems like it's these next couple of corners that I think Sights is really good. I think particularly turn 3, which is at least to me, the one at the end of this straight. He seems to never seems to pick up any wheel spin, always seems to be the neatest driver, picks up the right amount of curb and everything. And is able to make up a couple of tenths that time. Yeah, not really making much of an impression, maybe even lost a couple of hundredths. So it looks like Cash is going to be alright. He's also catching up to McCurley, but like a few drivers, a bit like Roseboro out in the lead, just too little, too late. It's been a fun race here at Motegi. These cars do look very nice heading around this circuit. Hopefully the drivers have had some fun as well. But it looks as though he is going to be safe here. Is Chris Cash half a second clear. So we'll go up to our race leader, Josh Cam. He was 1 win short actually of Greg Sights' total going into this round. Sights with the 5 and Cam with the 4 race wins. But Cam had the championship lead already, and he's going to be able to draw level with his main rival as well. He rounds the final corner, and he's going to take the strength of field race win here at Motegi. Week 10 of the championship is all his. 9/10 of a second clear in the end for a very impressive drive from Brandon Roseboro. Arturus Kundes gets another podium, and Michael Reinhardt, after that contact with Greg Sights, finishes in 4th place. Sights ending up in 7th. He was very close to Cash in the end, just a 10th of a second across the line, but it wasn't enough for him. I don't think Jules will quite catch up to place, just finishing in 11th position there. So yeah, like I said, I think fun race round here tonight, Johan, and yeah, I feel like that was very close to being a real good race because I think if the grid order had been mixed up a little bit, we would have had a real close order, plenty of overtaking as the fireworks fly into the sky. And yeah, but in the end, it was still pretty entertaining, and that race race lead fight between Cam and Sights was particularly impressive as well.
Yeah, it turned out a lot better than some of us might have expected. And actually, a fun little track. It's nice with the smaller field. You can kind of start focusing on a few of the closer battles. But Cam taking the win out in first, almost a second behind him. Brandon Roseborough, then Arturo Condelis, and Michael Reinhardt, then fourth, Christian McCready, fifth, Chris Cash, sixth, Greg Seitz, unfortunately in seventh, but you do have to commend his fighting spirit, keeping it going all the way until the end. Then John Aldrich in eighth, Jackson Porter, ninth, Stephen Place, 10, Rambo Jules, 11, Andreas Friedrich, 12, Arthur Scherer in 13, Alex Aguilera in 14th, and then Roberto Marino in running up position 15. So I don't see any drivers waiting for us in the interview waiting area. So I'll maybe give them a few seconds while we look at a few of the replays. Sam, why don't you take us away?
Yes. Well, unfortunately, I'm not able to see this one, I think, at the moment. Yes. But I can see what the next round of the championship is, round 11, Okayama. So the Japanese swing of the championship, or the Asian swing of the championship. We've only got Japanese circuits on iRacing from that continent. But yes, we've got Okayama next. Not an easy circuit to overtake around, but personally, one of my favorites, Johan. Yeah, I think that should be a lot of fun in the Radicals.
I absolutely love Okayama. I've driven it in F3, I've driven it in the Skippies, I'm driving it in the LMP2 now. I kind of save every opportunity we get to go to that circuit. For me, it's just, I love the elevation changes, I love the corners. And it is difficult to overtake, but at the same time, there's a lot of opportunity for mistakes, a lot of opportunities to kind of weasel your way into an advantageous position on the track. So to me, it's got a bit of a special place in my heart.
For sure, and I'm sure a man who will be doing particularly well around there will be Josh Camp because he did very well tonight as well. And we're having a chat with him, our race winner from tonight. Josh, congratulations. A tight race win out there in the end. We've got to take it to the start. Those first couple of laps, I was saying how you and Greg, despite the fact that you're leading the championship together, we haven't seen that many kind of wheel-to-wheel battles between you this season in the broadcasted races. But well, that was a great battle between you two.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. It was really awesome. Those first few laps, my heart rate was high, and I really sensed Greg was leaving a safety margin, or he was struggling with the cold tires. And I felt I had the advantage early on, and I really wanted to press that because there were other fast people in this race, and there's a championship on the line. So I really raced Greg hard at the start. I even got a bit of a little side swipe down one of the straights from him. I think perhaps he was just looking the other way, but yeah, it made for great racing. Really unfortunate that he was involved in something else. I have to say though, at the end of the first lap, I almost hit Greg in that same corner. I think he was really leaving a safety margin on the track there. So a shame he was taken out like that. But I suffered some tiny damage when Greg touched me down the straight. So that made it very, very hard to pull away from Brandon, who chased me really hard all race. I couldn't get within 4/10 of my best lap all race just with that tiny straight line speed deficit. So I was really, really concentrating there the whole way.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how that fight was near the end with Brandon. Have you raced with Brandon a whole lot? We've seen him in a couple of the strength of field races, but this seemed to be he seemed to be a bit closer to you guys than in the past, not just in the race but also in qualifying.
Yeah, I recognise Brendan's name. I've definitely seen him around, but I don't remember racing wheel to wheel or even really right next to each other on the relative, you know. But no doubt, regardless of having a tiny slipstream advantage, you know, following me, you can't stay within a second like that without running a really strong race. So he must have been very consistent, and I don't think I ever got more than 1.2 seconds ahead of him. So yeah, I was hampered very slightly by the damage, but even without, I think it would have been tough to shake him because he was super consistent there, and he certainly kept me under pressure the whole way.
I've just remembered that I can't remember when we chatted about it, but of course you have got. Oh no, you broke the record. Okay, so last time out, we chatted at Bathurst, and you won the race, and I was like, okay, you got Philip in the bag because you always win your races in pairs.
Yeah,
But unfortunately, you've undone that. So
I know. I had
I
some
am
help,
quite
unfortunately.
annoyed. Well, you should have been 10 seconds clear by that point, honestly. You can only blame yourself. And so unfortunately that's been sorry that that would have been a whimsical question once again to ask you. However, we can still bring up the statistics because you have got like a 100% winning record at Nordschleife in this series in the strength of field races, or maybe 2 out of 3. I'm not quite sure. So that one's in the bag. So really, the only significant track remaining on the season is Okayama, which I don't believe you have won in this series before. So, how are you feeling about that?
Yeah, well, I managed to win last week out, so I guess I did a back-to-back there, but as you say, broke the pattern from previously. I think I've won, yeah, both the Nürburgring events I've entered. I think I've been in 2, although it is at night this time, which no one can deny is going to make things pretty difficult. So I'd love to make it 3 from 3, but that's going to be tough for sure. And next week, yeah, I think I've raced Okayama once in the Radicals, but it was about my 3rd week in the car. So I was not so good at qualifying, couldn't switch the tyres on very well. And I was coming through the field. I think I had somebody spin in front of me and I had to avoid. So it was a ropey race, but it's going to take some practice, I think. I like the first sector and the back straight, but it becomes very, very technical after that. So it's going to need some serious practice. Yeah, let's hope there's plenty of people turn up to make it a great race.
Yeah, for sure. And I think next time out, you're going to have a chance to wrap up the championship because I think you're now over 25 points clear. If you can score 25 points and Greg gets nothing. Well, in fact, actually, no, not even that. Like, you just need to beat Greg in the next race and you win the title. So is
Wow.
that going to be on your mind?
It's hard to do the maths, isn't it? Because of the drop rounds. I always struggle to work out how many points people have to score and when. But I feel like we've both run 5 races now, so
You
it
have,
has to
yeah.
be close. And okay, yeah, really, I think a lot of the weeks has been me against Greg right at the front. You can see from the win record, we've won all the broadcast races between us, and I don't feel there's really been any races where one has totally destroyed the other without incidents. So the goal has to be to put in the practice to match Greg and try to put him under pressure. I really feel his qualifying has improved through the season. I thought I had the measure of him in qualifying at the start of the season, even if race pace was the same. But the lap he did today was a tenth quicker than I've managed under any qualifying situation. So he's really found found some advantage there somehow. Just practice, I expect. He's certainly been putting the work in. So going forwards to these final 2 rounds, it has to be maximize everything on myself and hopefully not spend too long looking at Greg's rear wing.
Yes, yes. Well, best of luck for that one, Josh. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yes, thanks for you guys. I'm looking forward to watching this one back for sure. There was some great racing throughout. So thanks for your broadcasts and your commentary. Thank you to Concrete Ocean and everyone at Pure Motorsport and Chris this week. We had Nigel couldn't go. I think he's at the theatre, so he had family affairs to attend to. But thanks to all those guys for making sure I'm still interested, and we learn a lot from each other's data through the week, and the camaraderie of practice is very helpful. So Thank you to everyone who tunes in and watches. Come back for the final 2 rounds if you can spare the time.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Josh, and yeah, we'll see you back next week.
Thank you, Sam. See you next week.
Josh Cam there, your race winner tonight, and yeah, championship leader. He's going to be 30 odd points clear, I think, in the championship now. So yeah, as long as he beats Sights, or maybe even just getting a top 2 finish, or finishing within a couple of places of Sights, he should be the champion for this season. And yeah, that would be particularly good as crowning perhaps at the Nordschleife later on in the season. So that is pretty much it for us tonight. Of course, big thanks to Virtual Racing School, to SDK Gaming, and to Apex Racing Academy for sponsoring this series. Do make sure to check out all their products. All their links are in the description below. Also, thanks to Apex Racing League as well. Of course, if you have enjoyed this video, do leave a like on it and subscribe to Apex Racing TV. You can see lots more of our races coming up. We've got a really good 24-hour race actually starting tomorrow. It's a charity race for the Swindon Cares Association, I believe. And that will be starting midday tomorrow, running through all the way to Sunday afternoon. And there's plenty of other stuff. IGP Fun on Sunday evening. Got Spec Racer Ford, of course. Got Rick Motegi. Got the ARL MX5 Championship. Got the GT3s on Tuesdays. The NASCAR has been particularly good on Thursdays. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, and you can see all of those. And of course, also check out our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. See constant highlights and updates of everything that's going on Apex Racing TV. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Johan Cairns, and from Dennis Branch, we are going to say goodbye, and we will see you next time out.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong,
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
and many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.